A woman sends $90,000 to the man she loves. 8 months of daily conversations. Promises of marriage. Plans for a future together. Then one ordinary Thursday afternoon, she turns on the television and sees his face. But he is not coming home to her. He is being arrested. Live on the news. How does a retired schoolteacher, a woman who raised 3 children, managed a household for decades, and saved every penny, lose her entire life savings to someone she never met? More importantly, why did she keep sending money even when the signs were everywhere? This is not about being naive. This is about something far more dangerous: loneliness. And right now, thousands of elderly women are having the exact same conversations Dorothy had. The same promises. The same requests. The same trap. Dorothy lost almost everything. Her retirement. Her security. Nearly her life. But she discovered something that might save yours. How do these scammers choose their victims? What are the red flags you need to recognize right now? And why did Dorothy's boyfriend turn out to be living less than 30 miles away the entire time? Before we answer those questions, we need to understand how Dorothy got here. Because this story does not start with a scam. It starts 5 years earlier, with a loss that changed everything. I never thought I would be that woman. You know the type. The one you see on the news and think, how could she be so foolish? How could she not see the signs? But here I am, sitting in my living room with the television flickering in front of me, staring at the face of the man I loved. The man I gave everything to. And he is being led away in handcuffs. My name is Dorothy Williams. I am 67 years old. I am a retired schoolteacher. I raised 3 children on my own for most of their lives. I buried my husband 5 years ago after 42 years of marriage. And I sent $90,000 to a man I never met because he told me he loved me. Let me take you back to where it all began. Because if you are sitting there judging me right now, I need you to understand something. This could happen to you. This could happen to anyone. I was not naive. I was not stupid. I was lonely. And loneliness makes you vulnerable in ways you cannot imagine until you have lived it. It was a Tuesday evening in March. The kind of evening where the house feels too quiet and too big. My daughter had just left after our weekly dinner. We had eaten meatloaf, her favorite since she was a little girl. She kissed my cheek, told me to get some rest, and drove away in her silver minivan. I watched her taillights disappear down the street and closed the door. Silence. That heavy, pressing silence that makes you hear your own heartbeat. That makes you count the hours until someone calls or visits again. I had been a widow for 5 years. 5 long years of sleeping on one side of the bed. 5 years of cooking meals for one and throwing half of it away. 5 years of sitting in church alone while couples held hands during prayer. People tell you it gets easier. They lie. It does not get easier. You just get better at pretending it does. My husband James and I had been together since I was 19 years old. He was my first love. My only love. When he died from a sudden heart attack, a part of me died with him. My children were supportive, but they had their own lives. Their own families. Their own problems. I did not want to burden them with my loneliness. I poured myself a glass of wine. Just one. I sat down at my computer. My granddaughter had helped me set up a profile on a dating site for mature adults a few months earlier. She meant well. She said I needed to get out there, meet people, live again. I told her I was too old for that nonsense, but she insisted. She took a nice photo of me in my Sunday dress, helped me write a profile, and made me promise to at least look at it once in a while. I had not checked it in weeks. Maybe months. That night, I logged in. There were a few messages. Most were crude or clearly fake. Men asking for intimate photos. Men who could barely string a sentence together. Men who made my skin crawl. I was about to log off when I saw him. Marcus Thompson. His profile picture showed a handsome black man with kind eyes and a warm smile. Salt and pepper beard trimmed neatly. Well dressed in a crisp white shirt. His profile said he was 65, an engineer working overseas on contract. Widowed 3 years ago. 2 grown children. Christian. Baptist, like me. Looking for his last love. His soulmate. His message was simple but eloquent. Your smile lit up my screen tonight. I would love to know the woman behind it. A woman who still believes in love deserves to be loved deeply. I stared at those words for a long time. When was the last time someone told me I was beautiful? When was the last time someone wanted to know me? Really know me? My hands trembled as I typed a response. Something simple. Something safe. Thank you for your kind words. Tell me about yourself. He wrote back within minutes. That was my first mistake. But how could I have known? We exchanged messages that night for 2 hours. He was articulate. Thoughtful. He asked about my life, my children, my late husband. He did not push. He did not ask inappropriate questions. He just listened. Or at least, he made me feel like he was listening. He shared stories about his work, his faith, his loneliness after losing his wife to cancer. He said he missed home. Missed connection. Missed having someone to share his thoughts with at the end of a long day. He told me he was working on an oil rig off the coast of Nigeria. It was a 6-month contract, and he had 3 months left. The pay was excellent, he said, but the isolation was killing him. No family nearby. Limited internet. Just work and more work. He said talking to me was the first time he had felt human in months. By the end of that first conversation, something inside me had shifted. I felt seen. I felt wanted. I felt alive in a way I had not felt since James died. The next morning, I woke up to a message from him. Good morning, beautiful Dorothy. I hope you slept well. I dreamed about your smile last night. I cannot wait to talk to you again. I read that message 3 times. My heart fluttered like I was 16 again. I felt foolish. A woman my age getting butterflies over a man she had never met. But I could not help it. It felt good to be wanted. We started talking every day. Messages became phone calls. Phone calls became video chats, though his connection was always poor because of where he was working. The screen would freeze. The audio would cut out. But I could see his face. I could hear his voice. He had a deep, soothing voice that reminded me of warm honey. He called me baby. He called me his queen. He told me I was the answer to his prayers. For the first time in 5 years, I woke up excited. I checked my phone constantly. I found myself laughing again. Singing in the kitchen while I cooked. Humming hymns while I worked in my garden. My daughter noticed during one of our dinners. She said I seemed lighter. Happier. She asked if something had changed. I told her I had met someone. A nice man. A Christian man. She was cautiously optimistic but asked to meet him. I told her soon. He was working overseas but would be home in a few months. She smiled and squeezed my hand. She said she was happy for me. If only she knew what was coming. Marcus and I talked about everything. He knew my favorite hymn was, "His Eye is on the Sparrow." He knew I loved gardening, especially roses. He knew I cried every year on my wedding anniversary because I missed James so much. He knew my fears, my hopes, my dreams for the future. He told me his too. He wanted to retire soon. Buy a little house somewhere quiet. Maybe near the coast. Travel to places he had never been. Grow old with someone who understood him. Someone who shared his faith and values. He said he saw that future with me. 3 weeks into our relationship, he told me he loved me. I was sitting on my porch, phone pressed to my ear, listening to him talk about his day. He had been dealing with difficult coworkers. Equipment failures. The stress of being so far from home. The sun was setting. The cicadas were singing their evening song. Everything felt peaceful. Right. Dorothy, he said softly, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. I know this might seem fast. I know we have not known each other long. But I have to tell you something. I love you. I have never felt this way before. Not even with my late wife, God rest her soul. You are different. You understand me. You see me. You are my soulmate. I truly believe God brought us together. Tears rolled down my cheeks. No one had said those words to me in 5 years. No one had made me feel this way in so long. I love you too, Marcus, I whispered back. And I meant it. God help me, I meant it with every fiber of my being. He promised he would come see me as soon as his contract ended. Just 2 more months. Then we could be together. Really together. He talked about taking me to dinner. Going to church with me. Meeting my family. Building a life together. I started planning. I cleaned out the spare bedroom, the one that had become a storage room for old boxes and forgotten memories. I painted the walls a soft blue. I bought new sheets, new towels. I went shopping for dresses, something I had not done in years. I got my hair done. I even lost a few pounds because I wanted to look good for him. I told my daughter I was seeing someone seriously. She was skeptical but happy for me. She asked to video chat with him. I made excuses. His schedule was so unpredictable. The time difference was difficult. The internet connection on the rig was terrible. Soon, I said. Soon you will meet him in person. If you are watching this and shaking your head, please do not. Not yet. Because the trap had not fully closed. Not yet. I was still happy. Still hopeful. Still in love. It was 6 weeks into our relationship when everything began to change. Marcus called me late one night. It was past 11. I had already gotten into bed. His voice was different. Strained. Panicked. I sat up immediately. Baby, I need your help. I am so sorry to ask you this. My stomach dropped. What is wrong? Are you okay? Are you hurt? I am fine, but there was an accident on the rig tonight. One of my co-workers, a young man named Emmanuel. He is only 32. He has a wife and 3 small children back in Lagos. There was an equipment malfunction. He got badly burned. They rushed him to the hospital here, but it is not like hospitals back home. They are asking for payment up front before they will treat him properly. They gave him basic first aid, but he needs surgery. Skin grafts. Real treatment. The company is dragging their feet with the insurance paperwork. Red tape. Bureaucracy. It could take weeks. He could die, Dorothy. He is in so much pain. I could hear the anguish in his voice. The desperation. Oh my God. That is terrible. How much do they need? $5,000. I know it is a lot. I would never ask you for money. You have to believe me. But I do not have access to my accounts from here. Everything is tied up in investments and the company payroll system. I cannot get cash quickly. You are the only person I can turn to. I will pay you back the moment I get home. I promise. With interest. Whatever you need. I hesitated. $5,000 was not a small amount. That was a significant chunk of my savings. But this was an emergency. A man's life was at stake. A husband. A father. And Marcus had been so good to me. So loving. So present. How could I say no? Let me see what I can do, I said. Thank you, baby. Thank you so much. You are saving a life tonight. You are an angel. I will never forget this. I love you so much. The next morning, I went to the bank as soon as it opened. I withdrew $5,000 in cash. The teller looked at me with concern and asked if everything was okay. I told her I was helping a friend with a medical emergency. She nodded but seemed uneasy. I brushed it off. I sent the money via wire transfer to the account Marcus provided. He called me an hour later, crying. Actually crying. Thanking me. Telling me I was a lifesaver. The man was stable now. He was going into surgery. His family would be forever grateful. I had saved him. I felt good. Needed. Important. Like I had done something meaningful. Write in the comments if you have ever helped someone you loved, only to realize later it was a mistake. Please, I need to know I am not alone in this. 2 weeks later, Marcus called again. This time, it was not a medical emergency. It was financial. His contract payment had been delayed. The company was having issues with their international banking. He could not afford his rig fees, his accommodation costs. He would lose his position. He would have to leave Nigeria without completing the contract. He would lose months of work and the completion bonus he was counting on. He needed $10,000. Just until the company sorted out the payment issue. 2 weeks, maybe 3. Then he would have his salary and could pay me back everything. This time, I hesitated longer. $10,000 was substantial. That was a big dent in my retirement fund. But he sounded so desperate. So embarrassed to even ask. He sent me documents. Official-looking papers with company letterheads and signatures. Contracts. Invoices. Everything looked legitimate. He video called me from what looked like an office on the rig. I could see equipment behind him. Other workers passing by. I hate asking you this, Dorothy. It kills me inside. I am a man. I should be taking care of you, not asking you for help. But you are the only person I trust. The only person I have in this world right now. My children are struggling with their own bills. I cannot ask them. You are my partner. My future wife. We take care of each other, right? Future wife. Those words hit me hard. He had never said that before. Of course we do, I said. I sent the money. He promised it was the last time. He swore on his late wife's grave. On his children. On God himself. It was not the last time. 2 weeks later, it was his mother. She had fallen ill suddenly back in the States. She was in intensive care in a hospital in Houston. He could not get back to see her because of his contract obligations. He was devastated. Sobbing on the phone. The doctor said she needed a procedure that insurance would not fully cover. He needed $15,000 to make sure she got the best care. To make sure she did not die alone without him there. How could I say no to a man trying to save his mother? I sent the money. Then it was customs fees. His personal belongings, including important documents and equipment, were being held at the port in Lagos. Some bureaucratic issue. He needed to pay fees to release them before he could complete his contract and come home to me. $20,000. I was running out of money. I had drained most of my savings. But he assured me this was it. Once he got his things, he could finish the job and come home. We would be together. All of this would be worth it. I took out a loan against my house. I told myself it was temporary. Marcus would pay me back. We would figure it out together. I sent the money. Then it was legal fees. A dispute with a former business partner who was trying to sue him. If he did not settle, it would drag on for months. He would be stuck in Nigeria even longer. $30,000 to make it go away. By this point, I was lying to my children. Making excuses about why I needed to borrow money from them. I told them I was doing major home repairs. Fixing the roof. Replacing the plumbing. They were concerned but trusted me. They gave me money to help. I sent it all to Marcus. Over 8 months, I sent him $90,000. $90,000. That was my retirement. My security. My late husband's life insurance policy. The money I had saved for my grandchildren's college funds. The money I planned to use to pay off my house and live comfortably in my old age. Gone. I stopped going out. Stopped going to church. I could not face people. Could not answer their questions about how I was doing. I was drowning in shame and fear and debt, but I could not stop. Because Marcus needed me. And I loved him. And he was coming home soon. He promised. Just 1 more month. 1 more payment. 1 more emergency. I kept believing. Because the alternative was too painful. The alternative meant facing the truth. That I had been played. Used. Destroyed. My daughter started asking more pointed questions. She noticed I looked tired. Stressed. I had lost weight, but not in a healthy way. My clothes hung off me. I was not sleeping. Not eating properly. She saw bills piling up on my kitchen counter. She asked about the man I was seeing. When would she meet him? Why was he still overseas? Why had his contract kept getting extended? I made more excuses. I was getting defensive. Snapping at her. She backed off, but I could see the worry in her eyes. One evening, she came over unannounced. She had a key. She found me crying at the kitchen table, looking at my bank statements. Statements showing account balances near zero. Loan documents. Credit card bills. She sat down next to me. "Mom, what is going on? Please talk to me." I could not tell her. I could not admit what I had done. So I lied. I said I was fine. Just tired. Just missing her father. Just having a hard time with getting older. She did not believe me, but she did not push. She hugged me and told me she loved me. She made me promise to call her if I needed anything. After she left, I sat in the dark for hours. Marcus called that night. His voice was soothing as always. Warm. Loving. He told me everything would be okay. He would be home in 2 weeks. His contract was finally complete. All the problems were resolved. We would finally be together. He would hold me in his arms. Take me to dinner. Meet my family. Marry me. All of this sacrifice, all of this pain, would be worth it. I believed him. I had to believe him. Because if I did not, then I had lost everything for nothing. But God has a way of revealing the truth. Even when we are not ready to see it. Even when it destroys us. It was a Thursday afternoon. Laundry day. I was folding towels in the living room. The television was on in the background. Local news. I was not really paying attention until I heard the news anchor say something that made my blood run cold. Breaking news tonight. Police have arrested a local man in connection with an international romance scam that has defrauded dozens of victims out of millions of dollars over the past 3 years. I looked up at the screen slowly. My hands still holding a towel. And there he was. Marcus. But the name underneath his mugshot read DeShawn Williams. Age 42. Resident of Clayton County, Georgia. Not 65. Not an engineer. Not working in Nigeria. Not Marcus Thompson. The room started spinning. I dropped the towel. My legs gave out. I collapsed onto the couch. The news anchor kept talking. Images flashed across the screen. Screenshots of text messages. Photos of other women. Elderly women. Black women. Widows. Women like me. Women who had sent him money. One had lost her home. Another had lost her life savings and attempted suicide. There were dozens of victims across multiple states. The reporter said DeShawn Williams had been running this operation for over 3 years. He had multiple fake profiles on dating sites. Multiple identities. Multiple victims at the same time. He worked with a network of scammers overseas who helped create the illusion of foreign emergencies. They targeted lonely, older women. Widows. Divorcees. Women who were vulnerable. Women who were desperate for love and connection. They built trust slowly. They mirrored their victims' values and beliefs. They created elaborate fake emergencies. They bled their victims dry and then disappeared. The police had been tracking him for months. They finally caught him when one of the victims came forward and provided detailed records of all their communications and transactions. He was arrested at his apartment in Morrow, Georgia. Less than 30 miles from my house. He had never left the country. He had been here the whole time. I could not breathe. My chest felt tight. My vision blurred. The phone rang. Marcus. No. DeShawn. It rang and rang. I stared at it. That phone that had been my lifeline for 8 months. That had brought me so much joy and hope. It was all a lie. Every word. Every promise. Every I love you. Every late-night conversation. Every prayer we said together. Every time he called me his queen. His soulmate. His future wife. Lies. The photos were not even his. The reporter said the images had been stolen from a real engineer's social media account. A man who lived in California and had no idea his identity had been used to scam women across the country. Everything was fake. I fell to my knees and screamed. A sound I did not know I was capable of making. A sound of pure anguish. Of rage. Of heartbreak so deep it felt like my soul was being ripped from my body. Have you ever lost everything? Write in the comments. Tell me how you survived. Because in that moment, I did not know if I could. My daughter found me on the floor an hour later. I do not remember calling her. Maybe I did. Maybe she just had a feeling. Maybe God sent her. She held me while I sobbed. Rocked me like I used to rock her when she was a baby. She did not ask questions at first. She just held me and let me cry. Eventually, when I could finally speak, I told her everything. Every painful, humiliating, shameful detail. Every lie I had told her. Every dollar I had sent. Every excuse I had made. Every time I had chosen him over my own judgment. Over my own family. She cried with me. Not because of the money, though I knew it was devastating. But because of what he had done to me. How he had manipulated me. How he had broken me. How he had stolen not just my money but my dignity, my trust, my belief in love. She wanted to call the police immediately. I begged her not to. I was so ashamed. So embarrassed. How could I face people? How could I admit I had been so stupid? How could I walk into a police station and say I had sent $90,000 to a man I had never met? But she insisted. She was firm but gentle. She said I was not stupid. I was human. I was lonely. I was vulnerable. And he was a predator. A criminal. This was not my fault. The next day, we went to the police station together. My son-in-law came too. They held my hands as I walked through those doors. I filed a report. The detective was kind but realistic. He had seen this before. Too many times. He told me most victims never get their money back. These scammers operate internationally, even when they are based domestically. The money is moved through multiple accounts in different countries. It gets converted to cryptocurrency. It disappears into the digital void. He said I was not alone. He said they had already taken statements from 6 other women in our county alone. 15 more in the state. The FBI was involved now because it crossed state lines. But recovery was unlikely. That should have made me feel better. Knowing I was not alone. Knowing other women had fallen for the same scam. It did not. It made me feel worse. Because it meant I was just one of many. Just another foolish old woman who fell for a pretty face and sweet words. The detective asked if I would be willing to testify if the case went to trial. He asked if I would be willing to speak publicly to warn other women. I said no. Absolutely not. The shame was too much. I could barely admit to my own family what had happened. How could I tell the world? I went home. I sat in the dark for days. I did not answer phone calls. I did not eat. I barely slept. I thought about ending it all. What was the point anymore? I had nothing left. No savings. No security. No dignity. No hope. My children would be better off without having to take care of their foolish mother. My grandchildren would not have to know their grandmother was a naive old woman who got scammed. But then something happened that changed everything. My youngest granddaughter, 12-year-old Amara, came to visit. My daughter had not told her what happened. She just told her that Grandma was going through a hard time and needed cheering up. Amara climbed into my lap like she used to when she was little. She was almost too big for it now, but she did it anyway. She did not ask questions. She did not demand explanations. She just laid her head on my shoulder. "I love you, Grandma," she whispered. "You are the strongest person I know." Those words broke something open inside me. Something that had been locked tight with shame and pain. I realized something in that moment. I had lost money. I had lost pride. I had lost my sense of security. But I had not lost everything. I still had my family. I still had breath in my lungs. I still had purpose. If I gave up now, he won. DeShawn Williams won. He would have taken not just my money but my life. My legacy. My chance to make things right. And I would not give him that satisfaction. It has been 6 months since that day. 6 months since I saw his face on television. 6 months since my world fell apart and I had to rebuild it from nothing. I sold my house. The house I had lived in for 30 years. The house where I raised my children. The house I thought I would die in. I moved into a smaller apartment. 2 bedrooms. No yard. But it is mine, and it is paid for. I am rebuilding my savings slowly. Painfully. My children have helped. I picked up part-time work tutoring students online. Every dollar counts. I went back to church. That was the hardest thing. Walking through those doors, knowing people might have heard what happened. Knowing they might judge me. But my pastor was kind. He prayed with me. He told me shame has no place in the house of God. He connected me with a support group for scam victims. I met other women there. Other survivors. We cried together. We shared our stories. We realized we were not alone. We were not stupid. We were targeted by professionals who do this for a living. And then I did something I never thought I would do. I agreed to speak publicly. I contacted the detective who had taken my report. I told him I had changed my mind. I wanted to help. I wanted to warn other women. I wanted to make sure no one else went through what I went through. He connected me with victim advocates. With journalists. With community organizations. I have done interviews with local news stations. I have shared my story on social media. I have spoken at senior centers, libraries, and churches. I have sat in rooms full of elderly women and told them my story. Every painful detail. And you know what happens every single time? Women come up to me afterward. They hug me. They cry. They thank me. Some of them tell me they were talking to someone online. Someone who seemed too good to be true. Someone who had started asking for money. And after hearing my story, they stopped. They blocked the person. They reported them. They protected themselves. That is why I am telling you this story today. Not for pity. Not for sympathy. Not because I want you to feel sorry for me. But to warn you. To protect you. To save you from the pain I went through. If you are lonely, please be careful. Loneliness is not weakness, but it does make you vulnerable. If you are talking to someone online who seems perfect, ask yourself why. Real people have flaws. Real people have bad days. Real people show up inconsistently sometimes. If someone you have never met in person asks you for money, stop. I do not care how good the reason sounds. I do not care how much you love them. I do not care how desperate the situation seems. Stop. Real love does not ask you to drain your bank account. Real love does not hide behind emergencies and excuses. Real love does not make you choose between your family and your partner. Real love shows up. In person. Consistently. Without asking you to sacrifice your financial security. I learned that the hard way. So you do not have to. DeShawn Williams is in prison now. He was sentenced to 15 years. He will be there for a long time. But my money is gone. I will never get it back. That is the reality of these scams. The money disappears. It is gone forever. What I did get back is something more valuable. My strength. My voice. My purpose. My dignity. I am not just a victim. I am a survivor. And I am using my pain to protect others. That gives me meaning. That gives me hope. If my story saves even one person from going through what I went through, then sharing it was worth every ounce of embarrassment and shame. Please, if you know someone who is online dating, share this video with them. If you have elderly parents or grandparents who are lonely, talk to them. Have honest conversations. Warn them about the signs. Protect them. And if you have been scammed, please know you are not alone. You are not stupid. You are not weak. You are human. And there is life after this. I promise you. I am living proof. Subscribe to this channel if you want to hear more real stories from real survivors. Stories that expose scams, manipulation, and fraud. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. These stories could save your life or the life of someone you love. And write in the comments. Tell me your story. Tell me how you are surviving. Tell me if this video helped you see something you needed to see. Let us build a community of strength and protection together. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for not judging me. And please, be careful out there. The world can be cruel. But it can also be beautiful. Do not let one predator steal your ability to see that beauty. Do not let one criminal steal your ability to trust. To love. To hope. I am Dorothy Williams. I am 67 years old. I sent $90,000 to a man who said he loved me. I lost almost everything. And I survived to tell you about it. So can you.